fam, what's up? Welcome back to the CEO Pulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. Let's get right into it on another Mindset Monday podcast, right? With my co-host, Justin Thorstad.
Thank you.
I came up with that one all by myself.
You did good, man. I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of. All right. So let's talk about leadership, right? Let's talk about leadership and being about it. I feel like there's a lot of noise out there in terms of like, who do I learn from? Who do I follow? Who can be a mentor? How can I step up to that leader's plate whenever the opportunity arises, or whenever you have to? Sometimes you just absolutely have to, rise up to the occasion, right? Sure. And become a leader because of situations, circumstances. Something is needed within your company, within your ecosystem, and then we have to step into it. So the question is, how do we make sure that we are about it, right? And we stay authentic in that leader's role, with all the deficiencies that being a leader entails, right? Being a leader, in my opinion, is not about having all the answers. It's not about knowing all the ins and outs and being the ultimate source of just information and knowledge. It's about being vulnerable too with the shit that we don't understand, right?
Yeah.
If we have weaknesses, owning up to those. We have a track record that we're building, being transparent about that kind of stuff. So I mean, there's a lot of things that create context in the sense of leadership, and that's what we're gonna break down for you guys. So being a leader, more importantly, being about it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's important that we, preface all this and get some context around, well, what is a leader?
Yeah.
Right? Because like you said, the person with all the answers and all that, it's like, we didn't say a master, right? A leader doesn't necessarily mean they have mastery over a thing that they're leading people. So what is a leader? Yeah. I mean, really, I think it's a few things. One, it's somebody that creates desired results through the actions of others. And they take 100% complete ownership over those results. Like, their results are your results as the leader. Bottom line, because you're the one leading them, which leads us to number 2. I didn't even mean to do that. Did you see that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're almost like programmed now.
A little bit. Yeah.
So I've made progress, people.
Pulling a Raphael. So, number 2 is really a leader is someone that has followers, right? And so if they're following you, the question you got to ask yourself as a leader is, where am I leading them to? Like, where are we going? What's point B? Yeah. And why? Are they enrolled in that vision? Is there like some intrinsic motivation, some value there for them? So that's really important. Ask yourself, if you're a leader in a position of leadership, where are you leading people?
So let's bring it back, right? Like, before we even step into that leader's role. I remember, I just about, pooped myself the first time I even thought about leading somebody. Like, man, I'm gonna have to come in and then take over this payroll when I was hiring my first employee. I'm gonna have to take on the responsibility. Like, in my head, the first thing that I started thinking about was like families, right? Like, now a household depends on what kind of story I'm telling myself on a daily basis. Yeah. Right. So I feel like it's some people have that. It's easy to confuse confidence with leadership, I feel. When they say, a natural born leader and whatnot.
Yeah, there's no such thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's more of, some people are born with confidence, and then, like, from the get-go, like, they grow, like, as kids, they're the confident little kid and, whatever. So I had a few of those around me, right? They were super confident. And it can be, mistaken by or with leadership, right? But it's not the case. Being a leader, I think it a lot of the times it's taming ourselves, right? Taming our own demons in terms of negative thinking, in terms of being vulnerable, owning up to the stuff that we're not may not be so good at, right? Yeah. Okay, where can I use my talents to actually help somebody, through their process? That takes self-discovery, in itself, right? To even figure out whether or not we're going to help somebody who's following said leadership, to get to the point of whatever the goal is, it takes a lot of self-awareness and self-knowledge to adopt the idea of becoming a leader, being a leader.
Certainly. And when you find yourself in that position as a leader, it's like that's a gift you give yourself, that you get to have that level of self-discovery as well, right? Because you may be leading them to a destination, a goal, an objective, whatever the case is, and it could be something you've never experienced before. So yes, how do you remain objective and not get lost in the emotions of everything, or the conditions, circumstance, environment, the team? How do I not give up my autonomy to them? Meaning, if they're stressed and we're off track and they're losing their minds, who's going to be the calm in the center of the storm? Right. Who's going to get them back on track emotionally, mentally, objectively, and all going down the same path? That's the job of a leader.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, you got to rally the troops and empower, inspire. And so if you're not able to do that for yourself and you have no experience or evidence of that, how are you going to do that for others?
Yeah, I think, right now, because of the readability of information all over the place, right? We find ourselves in a society overcrowded with leaders that not necessarily have, the background or the experience. I mean, there's a lot of theoretical leadership that's happening, right?
Sure.
Okay, this should be done like this, should be done like that. But when you throw experience into the mix, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but it's my opinion. I mean, I feel like you have to, if you're gonna teach somebody to go through a gauntlet, right? You have to have gone through the gauntlet. You have to have that first person perspective, right? To help somebody through that, through that same scenario. Why? Because now they're borrowing experience from people don't follow or don't pay to borrow theory. We can get that from a book. I mean, pick one of these up. Right?
And followers know if you're talking theory and concepts over experience, right? Because that's the number 3 quality of a leader is leaders replace themselves. And if you're going to replace yourself in every form of the word, right? You're going to bring those people up. How are you going to help them produce a result that you yourself didn't produce?
Yeah, and I think it's results are a part of the big part of the equation, right? But I think also the other part is the energy behind it.
100%.
There's
the conviction.
The conviction, that something is doable, that you can actually go through the process and, okay, this is something that we've seen, that we've gone through, ups and downs. And if not, we'll navigate it together. But, the context, it's already there.
Yeah.
And one of the things, one of the walls we hit is, I feel as we're developing our own leadership is it's natural to have that imposter syndrome. Why would people follow me?
Oh, 100%.
Why would people even listen to what I have to say, right? Because, if you're in that space, more than likely you've spent some time alone, and our self-talk is super loud, right? And if there's nobody there to tame it, or no outside experiences, voices to tame it, or somebody bounce it, back and forth, that can get super loud, and it can really just make you miss the progress that you've had as an individual. So I think the idea of becoming a leader and actually being about it, right? Going through the gauntlet, being open about the stuff that you get, the stuff that you don't get, the experience that you have, the experience that you don't have. It by default, right? That's transparency. So it'll create transparency and authenticity.
Yeah.
Also, it's gonna make you hold that space as a leader. Once you're holding that space as a leader, I mean, tell me who hasn't grown or become better, while holding, a space of responsibility, a space of contribution. It's incredible what adopting the mentality of leadership will do for us, right?
Absolutely, and that's what I said. Stepping into that role is really giving yourself that gift and the awarenesses and so forth. And I just had a conversation with someone that wanted to be a leader, and it's well, show me your results. I mean, if you're going to rally the troops and enroll them into following you, show them what you can produce. Where's that level of transparency, the authenticity of here's my experience, right? Because, it's how do you help someone, again, get somewhere you've never been? Especially, you know what I'm saying? So this person, they wanted to coach agents to be a success, right? Okay, well, if you've never had a success, like, you don't really know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, you read the materials. Yes, you went to classes. Yes, you are formally educated in the academic sense of things. But if you've never experienced it, you don't know what not to do.
Yeah.
You don't know what pitfalls there are, what mistakes you're going to make. Just like you said, that imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is real from the onset of, like, I don't know what I'm doing. They're going to find all those different, like, self-limitations, those doubtful thoughts. Like, that happens to everyone at some point in the beginning. And you wouldn't know that if you never experienced it.
Yeah, it does happen to everyone. It will only happen to everyone who actually came up and put their ass on fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Like whenever I don't know. It's easier said than done, right? To put yourself out there. It's like, all right, cool. Okay, I'm gonna try and help. And I'm thinking back of like my own personal experience, right? Like my own Okay, never mind. My own personal experience, mine.
Redundant. It's okay.
Of mine.
We know what you meant.
Yes. Okay, cool. So, but I felt like I had the answers in my head, and my idea behind it was, well, if I fuck up, I mean, it's just me fucking up for myself. Like, there's no collateral damage, on somebody else's, life, right? Like if I mess up, it's gonna be my thing, my bullet to bite or to hit me, right? And the first time I was outside of that space, it felt nerve-wracking. Just the idea that somebody would listen to something, right, that I would say, and then they would make life decisions based on that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
brother, it creates a whole other level of responsibility, a whole other level of like, man, you gotta have your shit dialed in to the best of your ability. All right, like right, like it's never gonna be super dialed in.
You don't.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean that's part of it. It's part of the leadership process. So becoming, for example, coaching, right? Becoming a coach, it's not. I mean, there's a lot of people that can teach and they can put the nuts and bolts together of things and convey the message. But it's not just about the process of things. It's about the mentality behind it. It's about the support. It's about the empowerment that we're able to give as leaders, right? So you're a leader and you're a coach.
But if you've never put your ass on the line and you've never been all in, like, until then, you don't really understand what it means to empower yourself to continue on, right? 100%. To persevere, to have that persistence.
Yeah.
And so how are you going to convey that to somebody else when you've never experienced it yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm completely on board.
The results that a leader produces through others, like, isn't just direct. Meaning, for example, that I was using, like, this person wanted to coach agents, but wasn't a successful agent themselves, right? Okay, so you could still be a successful leader if you don't have exact experience in that vocation. If you were mindful enough along the way of what you were successful at to understand and be mindful of, like, the context of it all. You see what I'm saying? Like Coach Al, he never started a real estate brokerage, helped me.
Yeah.
Why? Because of the mental constructs that we use.
Yeah.
And the relevancy and relatability from one vocation to another of, like, those things, empowering yourself, being mindful, noticing that negative self-talk. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, there's other ways to lead people, because at the end of the day, we kind of already have our own answers. It's just about discovering them, right? Unearthing those. So there's a lot to be said about that as well. But nonetheless, you've had success.
Right. I'll use Coach Al as an example too. I mean, one of the things that, and this is Al Fuentes, shout out to my guy out there, love you, bro. The leaps and bounds when it came to mindset and then just kind of breaking paradigms and seeing clarity in a lot of things that were somewhat there through the theory, through the books, not necessarily, having done the work prior, right? So once like in my experience, when I came and actually did the work and I, did the meditation and I sat with it and I started, contemplating and rationalizing things from my past, and I took the actions to do that, type of stuff, things changed, right?
Because you changed,
Yeah. So exactly. So, my perspective, my approach changed. There was a lot of stuff that I knew, but I just wasn't practicing it.
Sure.
And I mean, that's also like in the context of leadership, that's what it takes, right? We can preach and we can, say whatever, to the four winds, but if we're not actually coming in and doing the things, I mean, are we really, standing in that leadership role,
No,
or
it's just
at
a
that
title.
point is it, it's just, I mean, in my opinion, it can be hypocritical.
It is.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and it's an immoral act too, because you're professing to be something you're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, follow me, pay
Yeah.
me money, whatever. But I really don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, really, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that authenticity, and again, Coach Al, I'm not exactly sure the full context of your coaching with him, but he wasn't a successful real estate investor, let alone teaching people about it.
Yeah.
Right. But supported you in elevating that whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
I mean, so he came in and we worked on a lot of different things, right? My craft was, I guess my vehicle at that point was, real estate investment. So I was able to take that and apply it, right?
But here's the key. He was successful at what he was coaching.
Yeah.
Which is that insight,
Yeah.
knowing the self more, and reframing things and
Right.
letting go of self-imposed limitations and elevating you, the one in there. That he was very successful at based on his results, his state of being. You know what I mean?
So one thing there too that even helped me or made me open up really, because I mean I wasn't like, it's not like I'm gonna hire somebody and then tell them like my life's story and be all vulnerable, right? Like it's I don't know, you have to grow into a relationship like that.
Sure.
Regardless, right? At least for me. So
Yeah, for you.
So yeah, but one of the things that I kept seeing over and over again was him being open about himself, right? Okay, cool. This is what I went through. This is the trajectory that I took. This is the growth that I'm seeing. So it was a lot of back and forth conversation in terms of the path that he had gone through,
Mm-hmm.
the changes that he had seen and manifested, right?
Yeah. Where he went wrong.
Yeah,
what he did differently.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it almost became a following the blueprint and then just keeping me accountable for
Exactly. So the content, the exact content is interchangeable, but the
Right.
context is identical.
it. Yeah, exactly.
And he was successful with that.
Yeah.
And so what I love too about Coach Al is, yes, that authentic share about where I was, where I went wrong or took a left turn instead of a right, all those kinds of things. It's like a leader does that because it's authentic, and it gives the student, the follower, permission to do the same. Because if we're not talking authentically about what truly is and where I'm truly at, we're dealing with airy-fairy, like, unknowns, and instead of facts that we can build upon and move forward with.
Yeah. Another thing, I mean, if you're looking at elevating your leadership, you gotta put your ego in check.
Ugh,
You have to put your ego in check.
it doesn't belong in the equation.
And like it does not.
If you want to win and succeed.
Yeah, it's not one of those things that goes hand in hand.
Yeah, no.
It's there's going to be a lot of conversations. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to prove you wrong. Why? Because you're putting skin in the game. You're growing every single time you're leading. You're growing into this other space. And what happens when you're growing into an unknown space? You come across shit that you don't understand yet, right?
Oh yeah.
So you're gonna feel corrected. You're gonna be corrected at a lot of points of the journey. And man, I mean,
Publicly own that.
Yeah, exactly. You can roll with it and ride the wave, or you can try to fight your ego through that entire thing, which is, I mean, it's gonna be the most, I feel like, scarring experience, emotional experience that somebody can go through.
Yeah, that's suffering. So I think the key is, though, all the while, is to notice what's going on the inside.
Yeah.
But not get involved with it.
Yeah.
Like, don't touch it. Just let it do its thing and witness it. But that's really, truly what an evolved being does anyways. And if the leader doesn't have that sense of introspection and insight, like mindfulness, the ego is just going to be raging and lead everyone to bad places and poor results. So, as you like to say, which I love so much, your ego is not your amigo.
Yeah. It definitely, I mean, it sounds, corny, right? But
it's catchy, man.
It's so true, bro.
It is.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I read it.
Oh, you didn't actually come up with that?
No, I didn't. Like, it's been out there. It's been out there. But yeah, like it's about taking responsibility too, right? Like taking responsibility of your own self, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's the kind of stuff that we have to embrace anytime, like whether accidentally or intentionally, placed in a place of leadership.
Yeah.
When I say responsibility, it's not just about the results, right? It's about responsibility of what kind of energy are you conveying? I went to a room and I was trying to teach this class or whatever, but the room was whack. Like, no, it's not the room. No. Like, it's your responsibility as a leader to turn that energy around. And I mean, I'm using a very superficial example, right? But we do that on a one-to-one basis all the time.
That's very real, because if the energy in the room is a certain way, where do you think that came from?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the leader, when they decided to do the thing, and every time they think about that event, like they're feeding it and contributing something to that event. Therefore, who's showing up? Like can only attract like. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not the room, it's you. And taking responsibility for that, like ownership of that, it's a result. I contributed something to this prior to it even happening. The question is, what did I contribute?
Right.
And if that's my result,
how am I showing up?
Yeah, how am I showing up? And if I created that, how can I turn it around? Because I can create anything. So like, you're not able to do that and have that awareness if you don't take the ownership. Like, the buck stops here. It's me. And because if it wasn't me, I'm the epitome of a victim.
Yeah.
The external is controlling me. And responsibility is, I decide, I control.
The another thing that I want to touch on here is like the desire to lead, right? Where is the desire coming from? Is it coming from a sense of validation and need to be, validated at a self-worth level, or is it actually coming from a desire to empower people? Somebody who's, and here's the thing, right? Here's the big difference, I feel. Somebody who's inclined to empower, and that's the thing they want to. They're going to be very responsible when it comes to the leadership approach. What am I saying? How am I acting? How am I showing up? And you see, man, like you see the empowering leaders, right?
Bright light.
Yeah, exactly. So you have, I mean, they have ripple effects left and right, and then you have the other type of leader that wants to lead, right? But they're looking for validation of their own self from an outside source, meaning okay, I'm gonna help this person, they're gonna give me a good compliment back, or I'm gonna feel really good because I did this and that. So it's still looking for internal reward, but I think leadership is about giving. It's really not about looking for that take hit, right? Looking for that dopamine hit, because okay, you get a pat on the back because you gave a good piece of advice or something. We used to tease back when I was at the fire academy. We used to tease this one guy, great heart, great dude. But we used to tease him because he would be like, oh, he's a parakeet. Like he would repeat this stuff, right? Like we would read it, but like I later understood that was his way of learning, like repetition. But we at the time, we didn't understand why he would do that, and he would repeat stuff all the time. So we'd like, okay, he's just wants to sound like, make a noise in the room and sound like sound smart and that sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. So and that would give we thought it was an acceptance type of deal, but it wasn't. It was just his way of learning. But I feel like a lot of stuff that's out there, going around in terms of leadership, in terms of okay, who's really in it to be about it. It's about that, right? Like shit, man. I feel like I don't have my shit together. Maybe I'm gonna go help somebody so I can feel better about myself. And that's not the answer, right? Like the answer is help yourself, figure shit out, and then walk people through the process. Empower people through the process. It's not about inspiration and motivation and that sort of thing. When I started my journey, really, like I want to call it that. But what am I about, right? Like, what's my purpose? And I want to inspire. I want inspire entrepreneurship. That was the first thing that came up. Or actually, no. The first thing that came up was I wanted to motivate entrepreneurs, people who wanted to be entrepreneurs. I just wanted to motivate them.
Good
right?
luck.
Like that was the thing. Like I wanna, yeah. And then I figured out like shit, motivation doesn't last like a lot. I mean, I can have a really good convo and spend, I don't know, 4 hours with somebody, and they're gonna forget about the damn thing like the next day, right?
Yeah.
So
it's missing something.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to do it because I was looking for that. Like quite honestly, I was looking for that validation.
Yeah.
Like somebody to tell me, okay, you're doing good. And I mean, I was still working on my own stuff. So then the next thing that kind of evolved to inspiring entrepreneurship, right? So what's my purpose? So I went around for another year or two thinking like my purpose is to inspire entrepreneurship. And yeah, I mean, I figured out that lasted a little longer than motivating entrepreneurship. But you know, it still faded.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of
it's
the
like kind of like the rah.
Yeah.
You know, hype on them up. And
Yeah, exactly.
Fizzles out.
So now, okay, people get inspired, but even that, like, it doesn't quite last, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe, I mean, it goes deeper than motivation. You may get a seed here and there that sticks, but at the end of the day, like, there's gonna be something that falls apart from it, and they fall off the wagon.
The problem with those two models, and I appreciate your authenticity about like the evolution of the what you think you're supposed to do, the buzz things that you hear, right? But the two things, the flaws with those two approaches was the student taking something external and shoving it in.
Yeah.
That never works.
I was just excited about the stuff that I was coming across.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
So now I want to teach it. Why? Because it's gonna, it's gonna make me feel good. But I didn't have my stuff dialed in, right? Anyways, a couple more years after sitting with it, I came down to the one thing that now it's in alignment with everything that I do, which is empowering entrepreneurship. It's okay. So it went from motivation, and it may sound like a silly short transition, but
Subtle.
for me, bro, it was years in the making.
Oh yeah,
like
you had to experience it.
Yeah, to really sit with it and simplify the message to a point. Okay, this is my leadership journey. What is that? I mean, in a phrase, it's empowering entrepreneurship. That alone encompasses so many different things.
We'll break that down. Power from within.
Yeah.
Right. When you can have the student, the follower, and support them and them turning on the light on the inside and becoming elevated, mindful, conscious, aware, and therefore full of their own power, they're compelled to move forward on their own.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and that is a contribution to humanity that is of the highest calling, I believe.
Yeah.
Because what else could be more important than influencing others to be like the source of their own?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But in order to do that, what do you got to do first? You got to empower yourself.
Yeah, you have to go through. You have to go through the gauntlet.
Yeah,
right?
you cannot give something you don't possess.
I can tell you one thing that I've noticed through the years, and this wasn't happening when I was trying to motivate or trying to inspire. It started happening when I started empowering people through my own process, through my own transparency, really, authenticity, and it's. People became empowered, and then they started empowering others.
Obviously,
I have students that grew into their own coaching stuff, and now they're they have students.
Yep.
So that kind of stuff is really cool to see, right? Because you're I feel like we're all transitional beings in everybody else's life. Like we're gonna be there, for a while, or a minute, or a second, or an hour of the life, or whatever.
Yeah, it's the impermanence of it all.
Yeah, it's Wayne Dyer has this analogy, which is like you jump on the trolley. What do you call it? Trolley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you jump on the trolley, and then that's your trolley, and you're going down life with it, and you're holding on to the thing, and then you see people hop on the trolley, and then some people hop off the trolley, some people hop on and then hop off and then back on later down. So it's kind of like how we really experience life with other people, right?
Yeah.
It's really cool when, as a leader, you get to see people outgrow you, and then go out there and execute on other stuff. It's like, man, they're doing really, really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And you see that ripple effect. That seed that was planted, grow, and then have ripple effects of its own. Man, that gets. I sit back, sometimes, and this is the type of like validation, quote unquote, that I look for now, right? It's not verbal, it's not pat on the back. It's like, man, there was real change that I can see, right?
Yeah.
You know, that happened there, and you know, it's really cool. Now there's ripple effects because of that.
So validation or verification?
I think at that point is verification. I mean, that's why I went quote unquote. So it's me understanding, right? Like, okay, cool. Not that I don't like to see the results. Like when I say, you know, validation is external and whatnot. Like, no, it feels really good to see it.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're doing a good job.
And it like when you have that I feel like that transition from leader to you know, helping somebody through their journey, through empowering somebody through their journey, and you know, growing along, because we do a lot of growing ourselves as we're going through this, right?
Yes.
And then seeing that, you know, come to fruition and big stuff, like, dude, it's to me, that's what it's all about, right?
100%. Well, you know, I even shared my story with this person I was talking to earlier. It's like when I started a real estate team, I was a solo agent and I wanted to start a team because what I was learning, the parakeet, right? I wanted to share with others because, man, I felt so much better. I had more energy, more vitality, more purpose, like a reason to get out of fucking bed in the morning. Like, I was excited. And I wanted everyone else to be excited too, because this feels so good. And not because of anything out there. Yeah. Just I from within. And so starting a team, I said, you know, the common theme that I saw anyways in the real estate industry was team leaders were like siloing agents, that they were stuck in a position and a role. They became masters at it. That's all they knew how to do. They couldn't go out there on their own and replicate any of it. Yeah. Because they might be really good at doing this with a client, but they don't know how to get the client. That was the team leader's role, right? Yeah. And so I felt that was doing a disservice to the individual. So I started a team and I said, if you don't lead my team within 2 to 3 years, a couple things are going on. Either I'm a shitty coach, you're a shitty student, or both, right? Yeah. And it's like, you should leave when you feel empowered, and because you're capable, you're confident. Like, you just know what you know, and you know that you can create what you desire. Yeah. That's how I know I did my job. And I remember, you know, that lasted for 3 years, became really successful. And then I was like, might as well do this on a larger scale. Let me start a brokerage. Yeah. And I remember this lady was with me 3 years. She was a successful agent, and she came up and she said, hey, I hope you're not mad, but I got to tell you, I'm going to go start my own brokerage. And I'm like, that's amazing.
It's great news.
That you feel confident. And yeah, that's amazing. Like, congratulations. It's like, as a leader, if you're not duplicating yourself, like, you're a shitty leader. You got a title and an ego. Yeah. Because the results are everyone feels complacent enough to just stay and decay.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I feel like at that point you're not leading, you're managing. Yeah. And it's a big difference.
It is. And managers are important, but we're talking about leaders.
Yeah. Yeah, what do we do from that leadership standpoint, right? So if you're listening out, you know, see where you stand. Like, see where you're standing right now in terms of I mean, is it true leadership? Am I trying to empower people? Am I trying to convey like what I feel like my talents, my knowledge, my, you know, and then ask yourself the question, like, is this coming from a desire to contribute or a desire for self-validation? It's two very different engines behind the leadership thing. And then it's two very different engines that are going to give you two very different results.
100%. Because there's a saying, givers gain. Yeah. Unless they want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, the empowered leader gives selflessly, because I don't think there's any other higher calling than that, than to create a positive impact on the collective, right? Right. And therefore, you're doing it for them. And the simple process in and of itself is the fulfillment. So you're giving and you end up gaining, but it's indirect and you don't care what it comes from and what it is. Like, it's a natural byproduct, right? Yeah. But the ones that
reciprocity, man. Yeah. Call it reciprocity, call it karma. It's just, you know,
it's
being
an
a
energy.
good human.
Yeah, exactly, right? But the people that give only to get the compliment, the award, the accolades, the recognition so they can feel significant, they don't. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So if they're giving just to get, you usually don't get what you're seeking.
Well, that, and then, I mean, it also connects
at a high
back.
level anyways.
Yeah, it also connects back to that energy, right? Like, what the energy behind your leadership? What is that conveying? What is that? How are you connecting with people? How is that translating or transferring over to other people? Are you, is it again? Like, is it coming from a space of contribution, or is it coming from space of angstiness and like, oh, they're gonna find me out?
Yeah.
They're gonna, you know, it's where's it coming from, and how does that feel to somebody?
The energy of your intent.
The absolutely 100%. I mean, better. That's what I was trying to say in your words. So thank you.
Yeah, it's okay.
So it matters. It really does matter, because whatever you're conveying, whatever you're trying to lead into, that's the fire behind it.
Yeah, that the energy of your intent determines who you attract, what you create. Like everything stems from there.
Yeah, I love that. Say that again. The energy of your intent.
Oh, do things just fall out? The energy of your intent determines
who you attract.
Yeah, the results. So who you attract, who you're leading, right?
Yeah.
The quality results you produce together. Everything. It's systemic. It all starts from there.
Nice.
So if it's the giver's gain, just because simply that's my highest calling, is to contribute to humanity and impact the collective on a positive note. Yeah. Fantastic.
I like how when I ask you to repeat stuff, you always do the Will Ferrell thing where you black out. I don't know. I blacked out. What happened?
Things just, fall out. I don't know. It's not scripted.
No, that's awesome, dude. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, pick your brain, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, JustinThorstad.com. Social media, of course, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Mindset Coach JT, and my cell, 602-348-8534.
Savage. I love it, Matt. Great combo. Very, very relevant, especially with all the turbulent stuff that's happening, at a societal level, right? Yeah. We have wars going on. We have financial crises going on. We have there's so many things going on in the world. We need more leaders. We need more true, authentic leaders who take responsibility. And I'm totally biased to it, but empower the rest, right? So
100%. Yep.
Yeah. With that being said, if you're not following me, go ahead and follow me. Like, what are you waiting for? Rafael Cortez, CEO. Send me a message on social media. Make sure that you subscribe, like, and share to the podcast. And thank you guys for listening. Until next one, stay focused. You got this. Let's go.